Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Ian Kane podcast. I want to say Bible video. Welcome back to another Ian Kane podcast. It is an absolutely beautiful Sunday, September 14th. Beautiful day. Sunset. It's warm. It's mildly warm. T-shirt weather, at least. I had a great day today. I can't really complain with a mass about 2 hours ago. Great mass, loving it. But today's podcast, you might not see any notes. I don't really even need notes for this. I have it all in my head. I've been thinking about it and wait to say this. But this podcast is going to be about what are saints. So if you're a Christian, you're watching this, you might not know what a saint is. You might have heard that this person is a saint, or Ian, or this, or that. Well, I know that guy. He's a saint. He's a really nice person. You might have heard the term, but if you're Christian, just Christian alone, you're not denominational. You don't really affiliate yourself with any other teaching of the Christian church. You might not know what the word saint is. So in my other podcasts, this is flashback to 6, 7 weeks ago, probably around 4 or 5 weeks ago. I talked about do Catholics worship Mary? One of the most highly debated questions in the world of Catholicism and Greek Orthodoxy or Orthodoxy, the Orthodox Church. And the answer to that is that we simply venerate her. The same thing goes with the saints. The saints, we do not worship the saints. We clearly venerate them. We have statues and we have pictures of them to remind us of what they've done in their lives and what they've done to show their love for Christ. So that those pictures and statues remind us of who Christ is, his promises, and what they did for Christ. So what are saints? Let's get back on track. What are saints? So saints are holy people in the Catholic and Orthodox Church and many other churches, like just Christianity, right? In Christianity, there's multiple churches. In Christianity, under the branch of Christianity, there are saints. Saints are people who have lived and given their lives to Christ fully, and they have at least performed 2 miracles. Sorry about that. There were people walking in the background. I just didn't know if they wanted to be part of the video or not. One of my most important things. I don't really like recording videos around people. I don't know if they want to do that. If they want to be in the video or not. But I will do that if I do go live stream. People may be in there just because that's how life works. Right? Anyways. Yes, so saints, we're back on the saints. The saints are people who have at least done 2 miracles. We'll go into that deeper as we go in the video. And have fully given their lives to Christ. So what is the definition of giving your life to Christ in ways? So usually the Catholic Church looks at who should become saints, not only based off the miracles that they committed or that have been documented, but or how they lived their lives and how they preached the gospel and if they had to go through any struggles. So for example, martyrs. Most of the time, martyrs who died for the faith, and they were really strong in the forming the church. Even today, there are many martyrs who have been amazing people, and they died because of their faith. Most of the time, those people, if they have done their miracles, they'll automatically be in the sainthood, because ultimately giving your dying because of your faith is the most heroic thing you can do for your faith. It is the biggest thing you can do for your faith, because when you love the Lord with all your heart, soul, and mind that much, that says something about you. That says that you are ready, and you are always ready to give your life down for Christ. And that's what we should live as Christians alone, and Catholics especially. We should live like this is our last day on earth, and we should live like we are going to get martyred today. Think about it this way. If somebody came up to you with a gun and said, hey, I'm going to, or whatever, a weapon, or just trying to kill you, right? I'm going to kill you if you don't deny your faith. That's, for example, let's take the thing that happened in Egypt. I want to say 12 people died because of their faith. In Egypt, I think it's years back. It was a story, I know it, probably most people do, but they were kidnapped in Egypt, and they were taken away by, I want to say, Muslims, don't know. I want to say it was a different religion. That's the strong religion in that area. They took him and they were killed. One of those people in that, they took a bunch of Christians. Right? One person in that group of Christians was an atheist, didn't believe in God. And when they got to the person, all of them said that they believed in, that they didn't deny Jesus as the Lord. So they all died. When it was his turn, they asked him, "Do you deny Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?" He said, "No, I don't. I don't deny Jesus Christ." They shot him. He's an atheist, and I bet he didn't. I bet he didn't. He didn't. I bet he did feel something from the Lord calling him to not deny his faith. And the Catholic Church does something where, if in circumstances where life or death, even if you haven't been baptized, you have been baptized by Christ. So in a situation like that, you have been baptized. Anyways, back on to the saints. That's one form of saint martyrdom, right? Now, so I talked about the two miracles, right? The two miracles they have to be proven by the Catholic Church. So Catholic Cuties, I know one of his miracles was healing a boy who prayed to him many times, and he was healed when he took the communion. So it was great. That was one of his things. And you can be blessed. He was blessed. So it goes human, right? Us, blessed, and saint. So blessed, obviously not obvious. Blessed is one miracle, and saint is two. So at least two. For example, Saint Stephen, martyr, the first ever martyr, and that was Saint Justin. Saint Justin was the first martyr. Saint Stephen was the first deacon. That's what I was thinking. But yes, so it's very important that we always live the lives of saints as people who have changed their lives for better. I'm gonna give you an example right here. I'll give you two. First of all, Saint Francis of Assisi, great saint, one of the greatest saints in the Catholic Church ever. Saint Francis of Assisi was living the best life if you were secular, if you didn't believe in the Catholic Church. He was drinking, he was lusting, he was lying, he was being drunk, he was being sinful. He was being very sinful. Most importantly, I want to get on topic, he was being very lustful with his life. He was making bad decisions with his life that led him to ultimately do what I think is one of the worst sins. And I think something we all fall into is lust. And you can't ultimately defeat it. You can't ever get rid of it fully. But you can strive to get rid of it, right? So he was troubled with lust. So one day he got on the ground and he stripped himself of all of his earthly needs, all of his clothing, laid it down and said, "God, I want to trust in you. I want to be with you. I'm sorry, and just give me the strength to do what is right for you." He sat there and he laid on the ground in a position that's called prostrate, where you literally lay down. The priests do this when they get ordained, like this. They flatten out their whole body. They're laying on the ground. It's one of the most respectful ways to show your love for Christ, because you're basically bowing down. You're leaving everything down to God, including yourself, and that's one of the best things. Number two, Saint Augustine, same thing, right? So Saint Augustine was a saint that lived, I want to say 300, 400, 500 years ago from when Jesus lived. Another great saint. He's doctor of the church. He's one of my favorite saints. He might be my confirmation saint, but he was a really, really good saint. And he was living, again, the best life if you were an atheist, or if you were not religious. He was lusting. Most important, again, he was lusting. That was the most important thing that he talked about in the book, and I've been listening to it on my Hollow app that I have. And he said that, I know a quote from his book that I was listening to. It was like, a habit is something that the flesh desires, but the soul can destroy. It's something along the lines of that. It was really, really powerful. I was listening to the book. I was like, holy smokes! It's like, that's 100% true. The habit is something the flesh wants, and something that the soul can destroy. A habit cannot lead to the soul. It's in the possession. The soul cannot be possessed. This is the body, right? The soul can never be destroyed. It's always there. But he sat under a fig tree and gave his life to Christ. And if you don't know what a fig tree is, it's a tree that bears fruit, a special type of fruit. And a fig tree, actually, I knew this, a fig tree symbolizes a sign of peace. It says somewhere in John, I think, that it symbolizes a sign of peace. And it says in the description. And it's very powerful because he didn't know that it was a sign of peace, but he was at peace. He was crying, and the child said, "Take and read it. Take it and read it." And as the Bible, he opened up and it said, "Not in lust, but in love. Not in drunkenness, but in whatever." It was a whole term. It was in, I think it's in Philippians. Sorry, it's in the book. It's in the book of the Bible. It's in one of the Elogians or the Ians, right? It's one of those books. It's written by Paul. And his mother, Saint Monica, is known as the mother or saint who never give up, praying for years on end for her daughter and her son and her husband's conversion to Catholicism. And they did both ultimately converge, and it was great. It's a great story. I recommend his book. Listen to it, read it, do both. It's a great book. But one thing I want to touch on before we end this episode is that saints, every holy person, every saint, every pope, every person isn't perfect. Every one of the people have sinned in their lives so awfully, more awful you could ever imagine. But what they did was they strived to be holy. They sinned so much, but they strived to be holy. And that's what we need to do. We need to strive to be holy. Strive to be holy. They were sinful people, but strove to be holy. There you go. It's great because people don't realize how badly every single saint, pope, holy person, priest, deacon, bishop, cardinal, name them all. We have all sinned in awful ways. And every sin is awful. You don't realize how bad your sin is until you reflect on it and until you decide that, okay, this is bad. And that sin will never go away. And I'll tell you that. I guarantee you that. That sin will never go away. The sin will never get out of your life. It'll always be there. But it is if you fall into it. So you fall into the sin. Before you make an action, do you think, okay, is this a sin? Right? Do you think, lying, okay, if you're about to lie, okay, this is a sin. You will never get rid of the sin. But you can strive to get rid of it. You can try your best to get rid, try your best to, I think of it, try your best to subdue it. Not, just that it won't be able to go away fully, but you'll be able to subdue it. And that's great, because I think the best way to defeat sin is with patience. You have to realize that you are not always going to be perfect. You're going to mess up. You're going to mess up a lot. You're going to mess up big time sometimes, and you won't even realize it. But you need to be patient with your process. You need to trust in God. You need to be strong and courageous. You need to want to do it, and you need to be ready for the challenges that this is going to bring you, that this life and the next is going to bring you. This life is going to bring you. And the Catholic Church says that we should live our lives like every day when we wake up, that we're going to die in the next hour or two. We need to live our lives how we would want to die. Live our lives the way we would want to die. Would you want to die and be known for being an awful person, or would you want to would you want to die and be known as a great person, a follower of Christ? Or somebody who died for the faith, or someone who always put God first, or someone who always preached the gospel, or bring God into a conversation, even when it was uncomfortable. And that's what you need to be known for. Your life, even to the moment you die, and I tell you this very truthfully, if you on your deathbed and you're about to die in 30 seconds, but you say, Jesus, I trust in you, Jesus, I want to be with you forever, and you give your life for Jesus, He will accept that. He will say, good job, my good and faithful servant. When you get to those golden gates and you hear Jesus say, welcome, my good and faithful servant, it's something that we as humans, when we sin, we don't think about that until you actually sit down and do a podcast, or I'm talking to the camera right now, until you actually get your words out, even to yourself. I do this so many times. I talk to myself about things that nobody can ever imagine, and it's not, and it seems weird, but it's not. Talking to yourself is honestly the best way to get your thoughts out. And I'm more than journaling. I'm way more than studying my ways. It is studying my ways. Sitting down and looking at the sunset and asking yourself, how did I do this day? What can I do better? What did I fail in? What did I succeed in? And that's the whole point of patience, right? And after you do this, if you've watched this all the way, I want you to simply ask yourself, how have I been? Every day, go on your bike ride, go on your bike around, watch the sunset, sit on a bench, go in your room, sit on your bed, pray about it. Ask yourself, how did you do? Do an act of contrition. I don't do this very often. I don't do an act of contrition, but I've been recommended this. Do an act of contrition and think about your actions. What you've done. Because Jesus will listen to you. When you simply be patient, you ask for what you need. Not what you want, but what you need. When you ask Jesus for what you need, He will give it to you. He will. When I was in confession a couple months ago, a priest said to me, I told him one of the sins. It's very common. It's just the sin of temptation, right? Temptations, just in general. Let's just use lust for this example. The sin of lust, for everybody. Jesus was tempted for many days in the desert. He was tempted by the devil. You want all this land, throw yourself down, the angel will pick you up, turn a stone into bread, right? He was tempted, but he never fell into sin. And we need to live like that. Jesus was tempted, but never fell into sin. We can be tempted every single day in our life, but it's whether or not we fall into it. Because that's how our life is based off of. Everything you've committed, think about it, everything you've committed. Okay, I was tempted, I fell into it, bang. Tempted, fell into it, bang. Tempted, fall into it, bang. It's the same thing, but can be tempted, not fall into it, bang. Tempted, not fall into it, bang. And when you do that pattern, science shows for at least 3 weeks, when you do that thing, or the thing that you do for 3 weeks straight, it will turn into a habit. So if you pray in your bed for 21 days, at least, it can go longer, but if you pray for that long, it'll work. It'll become a habit, and you'll be wanting to do it every single day because it's part of your routine, and that's great. Jesus wants that. He wants himself to be part of our routine. He wants us to wake up and pray. He wants us to wake up and read the Bible. He wants us to wake up and pray the rosary. He wants us to wake up and thank Him for the day. He wants us to wake up and spread the gospel. Jesus wants that for us. And He only wants the best for us. This is I want to end the podcast with this. This was, even without notes, I don't need to start doing this more often. I don't have notes, and I'm just speaking from the soul and from what God wants me to speak to you. And it's great. And I think that it's so fun going out here every week and spreading the good news of Christ. And even to 8 people, it's great. Even to 87, even to 300 people, it is so fun. I have a blast. Every week I get to have this. I spend 20 minutes of my day, and I spend 20 minutes of my day spreading the gospel with you guys. So guys, I thank you guys for joining me on this adventure, and I pray and I will ask Jesus Christ to bless you in all your endeavors. And like and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. God bless. Peace out. Jesus loves you.